Well, good morning and welcome to CityLine. It is great to be in your home. We are live every Thursday morning, and this morning is, of course, the 20th of December. Kind of blustery and cold out there, so stay warm and bundled up. We have a great hour ahead of us. Later on the hour, we'll be talking with Mary from the Washington State Historical Museum, and it's Model Train Festival time again. And for me and my family, nothing says the holidays more like model trains. I grew up with them. My dad schooled me in trains, and we did the same with our daughters. So I know that school is almost out for our youngins, so that would be a great stop I certainly would make as I was headed downtown to celebrate the holidays. Sound Transit Tacoma project update is in the house. Scott is here to talk about the three huge projects that Sound Transit is working on right now, how they affect you, how they affect businesses, where they are in the process. So we'll get a chance to kind of talk with Scott and ride along with him in terms of how this project is coming to fruition. And then right now, with me is a legend, and I have to say goodbye to her, and that's always one of the hardest things in my life, is to say goodbye to individuals who I have really admired and have really shaped the tapestry of what they have given and gifted to Tacoma. And I'm talking about Liz Dunbar from Tacoma Community House. She is retiring, and so this is our chance to say thank you, thank you, thank you. And that doesn't seem enough. So for the last time, welcome Ms. Executive Director of Tacoma Community House, Liz Dunbar.
Thank you, Amanda. Thanks for having me.
It's great to have you here. You, today is the 20th, as I said, and your last day is?
Tomorrow.
The 21st.
Yes.
We got you just in time.
Yeah.
Snatch. Oh my goodness. So you have been with Tacoma Community House for 10 years. And as I often say, if you're someone who has had the fortunate pleasure of just moving to Tacoma and you are going, wow, this place is amazing, and you really don't know about Tacoma Community House, give us some background. What is Tacoma Community House and what does it do for our community?
So Tacoma Community House has been around since 1910. I have to say that first.
Wow.
So we are almost 109 years old, and we were started as a settlement house for new immigrants because we're right here in this neighborhood. We're a block away from the studio in Hilltop, and this was an immigrant neighborhood 100 years ago, and that's why we were created. And so still today, we are all about helping immigrants integrate into the community through education, employment, immigration assistance, and assistance to crime victims. So we do all those services to help immigrants really integrate into the community and help the community welcome and accept immigrants.
Amazing. And like you said, you're right here in the neighborhood, this beautiful melting pot of the neighborhood where our studios sit. And I recently had the pleasure of touring your building, and that building is alive with energy. I mean, there are classes and classrooms. There are people speaking multiple languages. I mean, it is vital in every possible definition of the word. So 10 years ago, you walked in the door, and what inspired you to answer the ad or apply for the position or say yes to somebody over coffee who said, this position's open and I think it has your name on it?
So it's a bit of a long story, but I have been affiliated with Tacoma Community House since the late 70s.
Aha!
So when it was in the big old white house, as they call it, I was the director of a small nonprofit that was kind of a spin-off of Tacoma Community House called Asian American Alliance. So I worked in the basement of the old White House.
Oh.
And so I right away had an affinity for the organization. And I'm the daughter of an immigrant. My mother was born and raised in Japan, came here as an adult after World War II, a difficult time to come to the United States as a Japanese immigrant. And so I've always been inspired by her and her experience to work with immigrants and refugees myself. And so I've done that most of my career in various jobs. And I served on the board of the community house in the 80s and 90s. And then I retired from my job at DSHS. And I went back on the board of the community house, and then the executive director announced he was retiring. And I said, this is my dream job. This is what I really want to do.
And this, when you say this is my dream job, and now you are retiring from this dream job. When you first started and said yes to that position, describe what the climate was like for immigrants here in Tacoma, and maybe also nationally, because it's all a reflection.
Yes. So, yeah, in 2009, things were pretty calm.
Yes.
There was certainly a steady flow of immigrants and refugees into the country and into the state of Washington. And there was talk about immigration reform because the systems wasn't working back then either, but there was some bipartisan movement and support for immigration reform to try to fix some of the issues in the system. And we were just plugging along. We had, in 2010, we had our centennial year. Mm-hmm. We had lots of celebrations. We had a lot of support for that.
I have the cookbook.
Yes, yes, that's one of the great legacies.
It is.
I always say that you never go hungry at Tacoma Community House.
No, I've been looking at the pictures on Instagram of the food that has been there for the past 2 weeks. Unbelievable.
Yeah, yeah, it's great. So anyway, things were, there was always change, but it was fairly calm, fairly low key. The recession hit. That was really tough for our organization. We lost some staff and programs, but then we started to rebuild. And then really, in the last 3 years, things have really changed pretty dramatically.
And let's talk about those changes. First off, what are those changes? I want to hear them because you are so qualified to narrate those changes from your point of view. And then how has it affected your team? And what are we doing to make it better?
Okay. So, first of all, there's just been a lot of negative rhetoric about immigrants and refugees. And it really is rhetoric and misinformation. It is not accurate information. And so we have seen that the people that we serve have been harmed by that through harassment, if they're already here, through separation from their family members who now can't come here. Mm-hmm. Through fears of deportation. So there's been a lot of fear and anxiety and harassment that's happened. And that's, been very troubling. But through it all, Tacoma Community House has remained a welcoming place. And the city, for the most part, has been a welcoming city. And it declared itself a welcoming city.
That's right, it did.
And in spite of all that's happening at the national level, what we've seen at the local level is an outpouring of support. So we've had more volunteers, we've had more financial supporters than ever. And that has been very heartening to us and to our staff and to our clients to know that people are out there caring. We used to do something called Talk Time once a month.
Yes.
Where community members would come in and spend an hour with our English language students just having a conversation, and both sides benefit. It's a wonderful experience. And since the election, we're doing it weekly because we have so many volunteers who are interested in being part of that. And our students really benefit from it, and the volunteers benefit from it. They really get a better appreciation of who immigrants and refugees are in this community and what they have to contribute, and it's just been a beautiful, beautiful experience. So we've seen that. I've also spent a lot of time doing public speaking. So in 2018, I did 23 speaking engagements to Rotary clubs, to churches, to other service clubs, to book clubs, to the Islamic Center, to Temple Bethel, you name it. We went out to talk about who immigrants and refugees really are and what's really going on in the community. So that's been a great experience, and I think really helps us persevere in spite of all of the negative rhetoric.
Yes, absolutely. You're still a place of hope. Let's talk about when you look back over those 10 years. And I don't know how we're going to narrow this down, because if you were to ask me, if I were to be asked what your 3 accomplishments are, I'd say only 3. She's accomplished so much. But for you, if you only had to pick 3, what would those accomplishments be that you are going to remember?
Okay. Well, the most obvious one that people think about is the fact that we're building a new building.
Yes, you are.
Yes. And it's under construction, and it's been a long dream and goal of the organization because we have been out of space for a long time. And so now you can see the picture of our new beautiful building that's under construction. It will double our space so we can serve more people. We can provide a welcoming space for the community. Our groundbreaking was a great, beautiful sunny day with lots of supporters there to cheer us on as we started the project. And so that's been a wonderful accomplishment because we will be able to serve more people as a result, but also because through the process of raising the money, we've gone out to the community, and so many more people now know about Tacoma Community House and are supporters of Community House because of this project. And that support will continue as even after the building's completed, we will still have those new fans, friends, supporters as a
family.
result. Yes. So that's been a wonderful, wonderful experience. Also, again, as we've talked about with all the rhetoric, we have really ramped up our advocacy on behalf of immigrants and refugees. We were very involved in working with the city of Tacoma on the Immigrant and Refugee Commission. We've gone to Olympia to lobby for support for legislation to support immigrants and refugees. So that's been a bigger part of our work since I've been there, and I'm proud of that work. And I'm proud of the new programs we've been able to start. We now have a early childhood education training program, so we're training immigrants and refugees to be childcare workers. So they will be out in the community being bilingual childcare workers with the goal of starting their own childcare.
Lovely.
So we're very proud of that group and the work that they're done. We've trained 2 cohorts. We had a graduation yesterday for the 2nd cohort. So we've had that program. We've added our crime victims assistance program, primarily helping victims of domestic violence, mostly undocumented immigrants who are very vulnerable.
Yes.
And we're very pleased that we're able to provide that service and assist them. We have a very robust citizenship program. We've been able to get a federal grant now for the 3rd cycle, 3 2-year grants, and we are able to help hundreds of people become U.S. citizens. And we do that through 3 classes and application assistance, and it's all free. So I could go on and on, but those are some of the things that I'm really proud of that we've been able to do.
Oh my gosh, that is just, it's incredible. I mean, when I think about that, you know, it slips off your tongue so graciously, just like you're reading out a grocery list. But I know it's not that easy.
Right.
And you have such an exceptional team. I mean, in more graceful times, even that is a challenge, what you have just laid out, let alone the snow globe that we're in now based upon fear and what fear does to people. So Tacoma Community House has managed to still be a safe haven and protect these precious people and still continue to move them forward. And even when they launch their own businesses or ace an interview or pass that very difficult citizenship test, you're not done with them yet. You still have more things to offer them. So you become life partners with them, don't you?
Exactly, exactly. In fact, one of our newest programs is Center for Strong Families, where we have a financial coach, and she's working, for example, with the child care program graduates, helping them with their financial plan so that they can be able to eventually open their own childcare. And she said that yesterday at the graduation. You know, we're here with you forever, and we want you to be successful. And I know they will, because the folks that come through our doors are survivors.
Yes, they are.
They wouldn't be here if they weren't survivors.
And we stand on their shoulders, just like you stand on your parents' shoulders.
That's
and
right.
their parents. I mean, it's all that beautiful legacy of immigrants wanting a better life, even for those children that maybe they didn't have or couldn't have imagined when they arrived here in this country. And that's the promise we give them. And Tacoma Community House stands by that promise.
Yes, we do.
What advice do you have for your predecessor, whomever that may be? If you could give them maybe a wise piece of advice, what would it be?
Well, first, I should say that we have an interim executive director taking my place, Beth Elliott.
Wonderful.
Yes. So, longtime leader in this community for fish food banks, very capable person, and I feel very confident that she will lead the organization very well while the board is doing a search for a permanent replacement. So that's the first thing I want to say.
Yes.
For the new permanent person, I would say, listen to the community. Listen to what immigrants and refugees are asking for, wanting for themselves and this community, and help Tacoma Community House do more of that for them.
There we go. Yeah. Boy, that's beautiful. All right, last few minutes here. I want to hang on to you for as long as I can. What's next for you?
Oh, I have a lot of fun adventures in
in
store. Yes. So first of all, I have a new grandson, 6 months old. I could have given you pictures of him to put on the screen, but I guess I won't do that. Anyway, I'm very excited to spend more time with him, and that's my daughter's child, and she lives here in Tacoma, so I'll have lots of opportunity to do that. And then our son, who lives in London, is getting married in January.
Yes.
And so we'll get to celebrate with him in multiple celebrations, so in the U.S. and in England, and so I'm very excited to do that over the next couple months. And, I'll stay involved in the community.
Of
I'm
course.
on the board of Tacoma Community College and Pioneer Human Services, so I will stay active on those organizations and just as a member of the community.
I love that. You are, Liz Dunbar, you are amazing. As I was driving here this morning and thinking about you, this quote came to mind. And it's by Maya Angelou, and she says, when people show you who they are, believe them. And I have always believed in you. There are two agencies that when I wake up in the middle of the night and I feel scared about our community, I take a deep breath, and one of them is Tacoma Community House, where I think it's okay, it's going to be okay. Those people will be taken care of. And do your part, Amanda, but also know that there are people out there that are rowing in the same boat. You have been you have shown such grace and beauty and accessibility during your tenure, and you have been so transparent. I thank you so much for being the ultimate light and the ultimate Lady Liberty for us here in Tacoma. So I'm not going to cry, because you can tell I'm starting to.
Well, you're making me cry.
I know. So, Liz Dunbar, we love you so much. Congratulations. And may you step up into your retirement with all the grace and flair that you have shown us the whole time at Tacoma Community House. Oh,
thank you, Amanda. It's been an honor, a privilege, a joy to do this work. I told the board it's been like a roller coaster, and it has, but I've loved every bit of the ride. Every moment of it, absolutely. Yeah. All right, my dear. Well, don't be a stranger. I'm going to have you back on the comfy couch in some capacity. Okay. All right. I'll look forward to it. All right, it's a date. When we come back, we will have Sound Transit here to update the 3 projects that they are currently working on. You don't want to miss that. We'll be right back.